Well, Stu, big test to look forward to at the weekend, but let's look back on that Argentinian tussle, and it was a tussle, wasn't it? Not high entertainment factor.
No, I lacked a little bit of sparkle. I thought we started very slow. And, you know, the Argentinians threw everything at us, which we knew they would. So you just basically had to be patient. And when the opportunities arose later in that second half, we're a team that actually nails every opportunity we get. And we took the points, a good win, always a good win in Argentina with the excitable and very loud crowd. So they'll be pretty happy with themselves, but probably not with their overall performance.
For Argentina to progress in this competition, they've got to be a little bit more attacking, a bit more adventurous, don't they? They seem to be waiting around for the penalties.
Yeah, they do. They're trying. They're moving the ball through the hand pretty better than what they have. But, you know, when I looked at the 22 that took the field, or the bench and the 15 that took the field, there were 18 of their players that came from overseas clubs in Europe and in Britain. So they're quite nomadic. They gather for the rugby championships, the clubs let them off, and that's the way they are. The way they will improve their game is if they get a team in Super 15, in Super Rugby. They need a team in regularly competing, even just local boys out of, Rosario and Buenos Aires and these sort of areas. But I like the way they are improving every game. You know, their scrum was good, their line-out was good. They just don't create a lot, which is their downfall, but that will come.
I still give them a chance against Australia, though.
Heck yeah. Yeah, Mackenzie must be sweaty in this one, the Aussies looked okay in that second half, but really, you know, the error rate that the Australians have had in this competition is, and even in the Bledisloe Cup matches, very, very poor. And I mean, if they are the third best team in the country, in the world, then rugby really has a small problem on their hands.
What do you make of the Will Guinea situation? Robbie Deans was criticised for dropping players, but not of that calibre.
No, well, you see, it does matter what Ewan does. I mean, no one's going to complain. But if Robbie dropped Ewan McKenzie and drops Quade Cooper, then the whole country in Australia goes off. But Ewan McKenzie can only play with what he's got. He cannot tell them when to pass, or these guys should be able to pass and kick a ball with their eyes closed. Now, when the little small errors creep in, they give away too many penalties. They've got a poor scrum. They are not the creative side like we've known in the past years. They don't cause you any panic or uncertainty when you play them, because they don't have a lot of stars out there. When they get all their players together and they're fit, oh yes, when you take two or three of their good players out, they're missing that Ioane on the wing, because he was another Rene Ranger. He just got himself involved. But the people that are replacing the good players are not up to it, not up to international standard, and that's their problem, because they don't have an ITM Cup like we do, which develops players. And you can just look through that whole entire ITM Cup competition at the moment. Every team that's playing has a player you think, gosh, where did this kid come from? Who's this? And it's exciting, but then they don't have anything. They have club rugby, and then they go straight to Super 15. Now, you can't tell me that a kid coming out of Sydney University or a Perth club suddenly goes in and plays Super 15 rugby, and you're playing against internationals every time you take the track. It's a big jump from club rugby to Super 15. Well, what we've got in our country, we've got club rugby, then we've got the ITM Cup, which gives them another level, and the step into Super 15 rugby is a lot easier. The transition is a lot more smoother. But they don't have it over there, and until they get that, they will always continually struggle.
All right, that's not a problem we've got. We've got competition in all the places. Looking ahead now at that Springbok test, would you start Barrett or Cruden?
Oh, I'd start Aaron Cruden. He's the number 2 first five in the country. He stands behind Daniel Carter, and he spent a lot of time standing behind Dan Carter. Bowden Barrett's a fantastic player, but his time will come. You've got to go with what Aaron Cruden has done. He's played in World Cup. He's played very well. When he's injury-free, he's a very, very good player. And, he made a lot of tackles on the weekend, He gets involved, and he runs the cutter pretty good. So he has to start.
And the same goes for Messam over Luatua?
Yes, I thought Liam Messam was outstanding in that second half. Got involved physically, played a very tighter game than what he normally does with the Chiefs. And again, you just look at him. He's played more games than Luatua. He deserves his spot. Mind you, I thought that Luatua was outstanding when Messam got injured early on in the rugby championship, and Luatua never looked at a place. So, but he's got to sit and wait his turn. And so, if Liam Messam gets spelled, then Luatua comes on. If they want to spell Cruden, well, Bowden Barrett comes on. So really, nothing changes. And we can bear in mind that we've played that last game without our two superstars, and these are world-class superstars in Carter and the core, and we still managed to keep ticking over the scoreboard.
Mm. Knowing that the South Africans need 4 tries now if they want to win this competition, is it going to change the style of the game? Will it be more adventurous than perhaps we've seen in the past?
I think they're going to have to be a bit more adventurous. It's not often the All Blacks leak in 4 tries. Our defence is outstanding. And our scrambling defence, when our lines get broken and breached, we somehow manage to scramble back and prevent the try being scored. So the South Africans may have to be a little bit more adventurous. They may have to move the ball through their hands a lot more than through the boot of Morné Steyn. And by doing that, of course, errors will creep in. And we are very, very good. The best nation in the world by a country mile when we put pressure on oppositions and they make a mistake and we pounce and the ball comes into our hands. And we're not often that we don't capitalise and score tries when teams make errors and we pounce and we counter. We're very good at finishing off the opportunities. In fact, the best team in the world at the moment by a country mile. So the Sevens are going to have to score 4 tries. They've got to win by 7 points or something. So they're going to have to throw the ball around a bit more, which will suit us because there will be errors.
Put the Ellis Park factor into perspective. Do the players does it really sit in the back of your mind as a player? What ground you're playing at?
Well, I think it does. The players and the coaches will say it's got nothing to do with it, but I say bullcrap. Bullcrap. You just got to look at our track record, the All Black track record at Eden Park. Undefeated for about 20 or 30 odd years. 30 odd Test matches. Don't tell me it doesn't play on visiting teams' minds. Now, when the All Blacks hit Johannesburg and they go to Ellis Park, I think they've only played 11 games at Ellis Park since in 85 years, and we've only won 3. It's a graveyard for us. It is a graveyard. And if the players say, it's just another track, another game, I just say, no, bullcrap, that's not right. You know that we're not really good there. It's just surprised me we've only actually played 11 games in about 85 years of history between the two countries at Ellis Park, and we can only record 3 wins out of 11. So that's poor. And the South Africans will know that. They know that. And I'll say, look, it doesn't matter how well they play. They don't go good here. They don't go good. And the All Blacks, even though they'll say, that doesn't matter. I tell you what, it does play on your mind. Is
it enough, though, to turn it in South Africa's favour, or we're still quite warm favourites here, aren't we?
Well, I think we should be. But then I'd be interested to see what the TAB have got. It'd be pretty close, I'd say. We'd probably go out even. But as I said, it's a graveyard for us. And we're not good on that track. For some reason, we're not good. And we've lost a couple of major games over there, 95 World Cup and things like that, but I've got a feeling that our guys, if they just continually do what they have to lift the tempo up a bit. So I think they've just got to get their preparation right and their mental state right. Physically, they're good. But if you go out slow out of the blocks against South Africa, as they did against Argentina, and, we gave a few penalties away against Argentina, Morné Steyn's not going to miss those shots. So if you go under the grandstand and you're 9 or 12 points down through penalties in the first 40, it's going to be a monumental task for them to get back in the game. They've got to start well. They have to be leading at half time. And then I think our finishing ability in that last quarter has always been pretty good since the beginning of the year.